Some songs don't just rock, they rewrite everything. 10 rock songs walked into the world and nothing sounded the same after. Some were born in anger, some rose from heartbreak, and some were almost never recorded at all. These songs moved. But here is the thing most people get wrong. The stories behind these songs, the real stories, are nothing like what you read in the magazines. The truth has been hiding in plain sight for decades. This is not a greatest hits list. This is the history they never put in the textbooks. 10 songs, 10 moments that changed rock music forever. Are you ready to hear what really happened? Number 10. The Jimi Hendrix Experience, All Along the Watchtower. Picture a room full of musicians, seasoned, experienced, professional musicians hearing this record for the first time and just stopping, putting down whatever they were doing. Because something about what was coming out of the speakers was not like anything they had heard before. That is what All Along the Watchtower did to people. It stopped them cold. There's too much confusion. The guitar on this record does not play notes, it speaks. Jimi Hendrix takes an already extraordinary song and transforms it into something that feels ancient and urgent at the same time. Like a warning being broadcast from somewhere outside of time. Every bend of every string feels deliberate. Every explosion of sound feels controlled. This is not showing off. This is a man communicating something that regular words could not carry. Originally written by Bob Dylan and released by him in 1967, Jimi Hendrix recorded his version at Olympic Studios in London in 1968, produced by Chas Chandler for Track Records. Dylan himself, one of the most celebrated songwriters who ever lived, later said that Hendrix's version was so definitive that he could never really hear his own original the same way again. That is extraordinary. The writer of the song saying that someone else's version had become the version. The song is built around a conversation between a joker and a thief, two figures on the outside of society, looking at a world that is moving fast towards something dangerous. In Hendrix's hands, that urgency becomes physical. You feel it in your body before you understand it in your mind. It reached the top 10 in the UK and has since appeared in films, television shows, and cultural moments too numerous to count. It remains one of the most covered songs in rock history. Here is the fun fact that makes this record even more remarkable. Jimi Hendrix reportedly worked on his version with an intensity that bordered on obsession, recording take after take, overdubbing guitar parts himself, layering sounds in ways that the studio technology of the time was barely equipped to handle. He was pushing against the limits of what was possible in that room, and what came out was something that still sounds modern more than 50 years later. It is not forgotten, but it is often discussed as a cover version rather than as what it truly is, a complete reinvention. When a musician transforms someone else's song so completely that the original author defers to it, that is not a cover. That is creation. That is what Hendrix did here. And it deserves to be spoken about with that full weight. Some songs get called legendary so many times the word stops meaning anything. This one actually earned it. Stay with me because number 9 is a song that was recorded in circumstances so difficult that most artists would have walked out of the studio and never come back. Number 9. Led Zeppelin, Stairway to Heaven.
There's a lady shoot on.
Picture a room, late at night, candles burning, a guitar playing something that starts so quietly you have to lean in to hear it. And then slowly, inevitably, that quiet thing begins to grow.
The glitters is gold, and she's buying the stairway.
It gets louder. It gets heavier. It builds and builds until it is something completely different from where it started. A journey, 8 minutes long, and at the end of it you feel like you have been somewhere.
To heaven, and when she gets
That is Stairway to Heaven. That is what it does to you. Every time. Jimmy Page wrote the guitar part at Headley Grange, a crumbling old manor house in Hampshire, England, where Led Zeppelin set up equipment and recorded in unconventional settings to get sounds they could not get in a conventional studio.
there, she knows if the stars are all closed.
Robert Plant wrote most of the lyrics in a single sitting, reportedly feeling like the words were being written through him rather than by him, like something outside of himself was dictating them.
With a word, she can get what she can.
Recorded in 1971 and released on Led Zeppelin 4, an album that famously had no title, no band name on the cover, just 4 symbols. Atlantic Records was not enthusiastic about this decision. The band insisted. The album became one of the best-selling records in history.
Aim for. Ooh.
Stairway to Heaven was never released as a single. Led Zeppelin refused. They did not want it cut down. They did not want it formatted for radio. They wanted people to experience the whole thing. And yet it became the most requested song in the history of American FM radio.
Ooh. And she's mine.
Without a single release, without a music video, just word of mouth and the force of the music itself. It has been estimated that if the song had been released as a single, it would have been one of the best-selling singles of all time.
A stairway to heaven.
They left that on the table deliberately, because for them, the music was more important than the commerce.
There's a sign on the wall, but
It gets taken for granted today, which is its own kind of being underrated. When something becomes that ubiquitous, people stop hearing it. They recognize it without listening to it.
she wants to be sure. 'Cause you know sometimes
But if you sit down tonight and listen to Stairway to Heaven, from the beginning, really listen, with headphones, in a quiet room you will hear things you forgot were there. You will feel things you did not expect to feel.
words have 2 meanings.
Because the song has not changed, only our relationship to it has. Some music is too familiar to be properly heard. This is one of them. Give it the attention it still deserves.
In a tree by the brook.
Number 8, and this one comes from a band that was told repeatedly by people who should have known better that they would never make it. If you are enjoying this journey so far, go ahead and smash that like button right now. It costs you nothing, and it keeps this channel making content exactly like this.
Hey, Rocklore community. Before we continue, let's have a real talk for a second, bro. You know, this isn't just a channel to us. And I hope it's not just a place you come to watch a video and then forget about it. This is a community. It's a place where we get to dig up the secrets of rock and roll, share our favorite riffs, and celebrate the artists who maybe didn't get the love they deserved. Right now, only about 1% of our viewers are subscribed. We can change that together and grow this community. All you have to do is hit that subscribe button with the notification bell on. When you do, you're not just helping a channel grow. You're becoming a member of the Rocklore family. You're signaling to us and to YouTube that these stories matter, that this music is worth preserving, and that this community is a place you want to be. Subscribing is your way of making sure you're always in the loop. It means you'll be the first to know when we unearth a forgotten legend, drop a new countdown, or dive into a piece of rock history you've never heard before. So if you're a true fan of the lore, if you get that same feeling of discovery that I do, then come join us. It takes 1 second to be a part of something bigger.
Every story you see here takes hours of digging, piecing together history and bringing forgotten moments back to life. If you'd like to support that work, you can become a channel member. It's just the cost of a cup of coffee, but it helps us keep these stories alive, and for that, we're grateful. Number 8. The Rolling Stones. Gimme Shelter. There are songs that capture a moment, and then there are songs that capture an entire era, an entire feeling, the specific weight of a specific time in history when everything felt like it was on the edge of something terrible. Gimme Shelter is the second kind. It is the sound of 1969 feeling like the end of something. The opening guitar note arrives like a weather warning. Something is coming. Something bad. And then that voice, that female voice cutting through the darkness like a siren, tells you exactly what kind of bad it is. War. Violence. The world tearing itself apart. The song does not flinch. It looks directly at ugliness, and it does not look away. Recorded at Elektra Sound Recorders in Los Angeles in 1969, produced by Jimi Miller, released on the Let It Bleed album. The female voice that elevates the song to something transcendent belongs to Mary Clayton, a session singer who was called in the middle of the night, literally pulled from her bed, to come and record. She arrived in her pajamas and a headscarf. She had no idea what she was walking into. She listened to the track once and then she sang. What you hear on the record, that raw, breaking, almost dangerous vocal, was recorded in a handful of takes in the middle of the night by a woman who had never heard the song before that evening. She poured something into that microphone that has never been explained and never needed to be. The fun fact that breaks your heart just slightly is that Mary Clayton's vocal contribution to this song, one of the most powerful moments in the history of recorded music, was not always given the full credit it deserved in the immediate aftermath. Her voice is on one of the best-selling rock albums ever made, but her name was not always the first one mentioned. The documentary 20 Feet from Stardom later told her story and the stories of other session singers whose voices shaped rock history from the shadows. Justice, when it comes, sometimes takes decades. Gimme Shelter has never truly faded. It appears in films, in documentaries, in television constantly, but its full weight is still sometimes missed. People hear it as atmosphere, as a classic rock track. They do not always sit with what it is actually saying. About war. About what happens when a society loses its conscience. About the fact that the shelter we need is rarely guaranteed. In 2024, that message is not historical. It is current. It is today. This song told the truth in 1969. It is still telling it now. Number 7 is coming, and this next song was recorded in 24 hours by a band that almost broke apart in the studio making it. Number 7. Nirvana. Smells Like Teen Spirit. Number 6. Fleetwood Mac. The Chain. Here is something that will hit you differently when you know it. Every single member of Fleetwood Mac contributed to The Chain. Every one of them. The lyrics were pulled from different members' separate writing sessions and combined. The music was built from pieces that had not originally been meant for the same song. It should not have worked. It should have been a mess. Instead, it became one of the most cohesive, most powerful, most emotionally resonant things any of them ever recorded. Together or separately, the feeling of this song is like watching a relationship fall apart in slow motion while being unable to stop it. The first half is almost tender, resigned, sad, something ending quietly. And then that bass line arrives. You know the one. And everything changes. The second half of The Chain is pure unleashed feeling, all the things that were not said in the quiet first half, coming out at full volume. It is one of the most effective emotional structures in rock music. Recorded during the Rumors sessions at Record Plant in Sausalito, California in 1976, and released on the Rumors album in 1977 on Warner Brothers Records. Rumors was recorded during a period of almost operatic personal chaos. Two couples in the band were simultaneously breaking up, Lindsey Buckingham and Stevie Nicks, John and Christine McVie. They were recording songs about each other's behavior while standing in the same room with each other. The tension in those sessions was real, and it is all in the music, every note of it. The fun fact that makes The Chain even more remarkable is that it is the only Fleetwood Mac song on Rumors that was credited to all 5 band members because it literally was built from all of them. It was also the only track on the album that was constructed in the studio rather than brought in as a finished composition. They built it from pieces, fragments, and what they assembled from those fragments outlasted the relationships that fell apart while they were making it. It was used famously as the theme for Formula One coverage on the BBC in the United Kingdom, which introduced it to generations of viewers who might not have been Fleetwood Mac fans, but who now associate that bass line with speed and tension, and something about to happen. That association gave the song a second life in British culture that it might not have had otherwise. Music finds its audience in unexpected ways sometimes. Number 5, and I have been building toward this one, because this next song comes with a story that was deliberately kept quiet for years. Number 5. The Sex Pistols, God Save the Queen.
God save the Queen! The fascist regime!
I told you at the start that one of these songs had a story behind it that the mainstream version of history does not fully tell. We are here now, and I want to take my time with this one, because this is not just a controversy.
It made you a moron!
This is a case study in what happens when music frightens the people who hold power. First, the song itself. Because nothing else makes sense without understanding what this record actually is.
God Save the Queen!
God Save the Queen was released in May 1977, deliberately timed to coincide with Queen Elizabeth II's Silver Jubilee celebrations. Britain was covered in Union Jacks. Street parties were being planned.
She ain't no human being.
The national mood was one of patriotic celebration, and into that carefully decorated moment, the Sex Pistols dropped a record that said, with complete directness and zero apology, that the official story of Britain was not the whole story.
No future in England's dreaming.
That behind the bunting and the celebration, there were people living in poverty and unemployment and hopelessness. That the image being projected did not match the reality being lived. The record was produced by Chris Thomas, who had worked with the Beatles and Roxy Music and released on Virgin Records after A&M Records had signed, and then dropped the band within a week, under pressure from other A&M artists and from the label's own staff who refused to work with them. That story alone tells you something. A major record label signed a band, pressed 25,000 copies of a single, and then destroyed most of those copies within days because the internal and external pressure was too much to withstand. Those original A&M copies are now among the most valuable punk singles ever made.
No future for
Now, here is where the story becomes extraordinary. And I want to be careful and fair here, because there are different versions of events and the full picture is complicated. God Save the Queen reached number 2 on the UK singles chart during Jubilee Week. Some people, including members of the music press at the time, have always believed it actually reached number 1, but was prevented from being listed there by the chart compilers. The chart company at the time denied this. The BBC refused to play the record. Most commercial radio stations refused to play it. It received essentially 0 airplay, and still, according to the official figures, sold enough copies to reach number 2, which raises an obvious question that people were asking at the time and have never fully stopped asking. In interviews over the years, figures connected to the music industry of that period have spoken about the pressure that existed at the time around this record. Some people say there was coordination between establishment figures to prevent the song from being seen to be number 1 during Jubilee Week. Others say the chart figures were accurate and the conspiracy theories overstate what happened. There are different versions of the story. What is documented is that the BBC ban, the radio silence, and the public controversy created a situation where the record was simultaneously everywhere talked about, written about, debated, and nowhere. In terms of official broadcast, the effect on the song's legacy is paradoxical. The attempt to suppress it made it mythological. If God Save the Queen had been played on the radio and allowed to rise and fall normally, it might have been a successful punk single and nothing more. Instead, because of the ban, the controversy, the questions about the chart, it became a document. A piece of evidence about the relationship between power and music, about what happens when a song says something that those in authority would prefer not to be said. The Sex Pistols were not a band that lasted long, but God Save the Queen lasted forever. And the questions it raised about who gets to tell the national story, about whose experience gets represented in official celebrations, about what happens when you say out loud what many people are thinking privately. Those questions did not go away when the band did. That is why this record is not just music, it is history, and the attempt to silence it is as much a part of that history as the song itself. Number 4, and after all that wait, this next one is going to take you somewhere completely different. But do not mistake the change of pace for a change of importance. Number 4, Queen, Bohemian Rhapsody. Let me tell you what someone at EMI Records said when they first heard this song. They said it was too long, too strange, too operatic, too everything. They said radio would never play it. They said nobody would buy a 6-minute rock song that changed direction 3 times and had no discernible verse-chorus structure. They said it needed to be cut down, made simpler, made more commercial. Freddie Mercury said no. And then the world proved exactly how wrong the people who said no to Freddie Mercury were. Bohemian Rhapsody is an act of pure creative defiance. A man who heard something in his head, something that had never been done before, something that mixed opera and hard rock and tender ballad in a way that should not have cohered and refused to compromise any part of it to make it easier to sell. The result is 6 minutes that are unlike anything that existed before them, and unlike almost anything that has been made since. Recorded at Rockfield Studio in Wales and Sarm Studios in London in 1975, produced by Roy Thomas Baker and Queen. The multi-layered vocal harmonies, which form the operatic centerpiece of the record, reportedly took 3 weeks to record, with Freddie, Brian May, and Roger Taylor singing the same lines over and over, layer upon layer, until the tape was physically wearing thin. Released on EMI in October 1975, with a running time of 5 minutes and 55 seconds, the label reluctantly released it at full length after DJ Kenny Everett played a copy, and the listener response was so overwhelming it could not be ignored. It went to number 1 in the UK and stayed there for 9 weeks. The fun fact that most people know but that still lands every time is the film Wayne's World, released in 1992, 17 years after the song came out. The scene where Wayne and his friends headbang to Bohemian Rhapsody in a car introduced the song to an entirely new generation and sent it back into the charts.
If I'm not back again this time tomorrow.
A 17-year-old song became a hit again because of a comedy film. Freddie Mercury had been gone for less than a year when that film came out. The timing was its own kind of grace.
Carry on, carry on. Nothing real.
It is not underrated in the traditional sense, but it is sometimes misunderstood. People treat it as a novelty, a brilliantly bizarre, one-of-a-kind thing.
Really matters.
What gets missed is the technical and emotional ambition behind it, the sheer craft, the years of musical training and listening and thinking that went into building something that complicated and making it feel effortless. Freddie Mercury was not being eccentric for the sake of it. He was being completely, precisely himself. And that is the rarest thing in music. Number 3, and this one, I need you to be ready for this one, because it is going to take you back to a specific feeling that I think you have not felt in a while. Number 3, Pink Floyd, Comfortably Numb. There is a specific feeling this song creates that no other song has ever quite replicated. A floating feeling, like being slightly outside your own body.
Just not if you can hear me.
Like the world is happening at a small distance and you are watching it from somewhere warm and removed. Not unconscious, not fully present, somewhere in between. Comfortably Numb. The title tells you exactly what the music makes you feel. Roger Waters wrote the lyrics from a memory, a real one.
Is there anyone at home?
He had been ill before a show given medication by a doctor and had gone on stage feeling disconnected from his own body, feeling like he was watching himself perform from somewhere else.
Come on now. I hear you feel.
That specific, strange, slightly frightening experience became the emotional core of one of the most beloved guitar solos in rock history. Pain turned into music, turned into something millions of people have connected to their own moments of feeling lost. Recorded at Britannia Row Studios and Super Bear Studios in 1979, produced by Roger Waters, David Gilmour, and Bob Ezrin for the Wall album on Harvest Records. The song almost did not make it onto the album. There were internal tensions in the band at the time that were approaching a breaking point.
Get you on your feet again.
Waters and Gilmour had different visions for the production direction. The guitar solo, that second solo, the one that builds and builds, was a point of real creative disagreement before it became the thing that everyone agrees is perfect. Gilmour's playing on this record is considered by many guitarists to be the finest sustained guitar work on any rock record ever made. Not the fastest, not the most technical, the most emotional. The fun fact that illustrates just how extraordinary that solo is, David Gilmour recorded multiple versions of it, and the final version on the record is a composite of 2 different takes, edited together.
Can you show me where
The edit point is invisible. You cannot hear the join. What sounds like one continuous, breathing, living performance is actually two different moments stitched together so perfectly that even guitarists who have studied this record for years debate exactly where the edit is. It is not forgotten, but it deserves to be heard differently. Not as a classic rock radio fixture, not as background, as the thing it actually is, a meditation on disconnection, on illness, on the feeling of not being fully alive inside your own life. Roger Waters wrote something true. David Gilmour made it fly. And the result is 8 minutes that have accompanied more private moments of human feeling than almost any other piece of rock music ever recorded. Two left. And number 2 is a song that was called the anthem of a generation by people who did not always understand what the generation was actually saying. Number 2, U2, Where the Streets Have No Name. You know the feeling of this song before the vocals even start. That guitar figure building, climbing, reaching for something just beyond where it is creates a sense of anticipation that is almost unbearable. You are waiting for something to arrive. And when it does, when the whole band comes in and the song opens up into something enormous, the feeling is release. Pure, uncomplicated release. Like a door opening onto something vast. Bono has said that he wanted to write a song so big it could fill the sky. Something that did not belong to a specific place or a specific person, but could be claimed by anyone who needed it. The title came from an idea about how, in Belfast, where you lived, which street you were from, could tell a stranger everything about your religion and your politics and which side of a divide you stood on. He wanted to imagine a place where that information did not exist, where the streets had no name, where you could just be human, without the labels. Recorded at Slane Castle and Windmill Lane Studios in Dublin, and at A&M Studios in Los Angeles. Produced by Brian Eno and Daniel Lanois for the Joshua Tree album, released in 1987 on Island Records. The Joshua Tree became one of the best-selling albums in history, #1 in multiple countries simultaneously, Grammy winner for Album of the Year. The album arrived at a moment when U2 had been building for years, and everything they had been working toward suddenly connected with a global audience at the same time. The fun fact that still amazes people is that the introduction to Where the Streets Have No Name, that guitar and organ build, was so long and so slow to develop that it was almost cut. The band and producers debated whether any listener would wait through that much anticipation before the song truly arrived. Brian Eno, by some accounts, was not fully convinced by the track in its early form. What persuaded everyone was the reaction of people who heard it, the physical response to that build, to the moment of release when it finally opens. You cannot argue with that. When a room full of people holds their breath waiting for a song to arrive, the song is right. It gets taken for granted because it became stadium furniture, the song that opens the show, the song that appears in advertisements, the song that has been heard so many times, in so many contexts, that its original emotional power can feel diluted. But strip all of that away. Sit with it alone. And what you find is still there, a song genuinely reaching for something, genuinely trying to imagine a world bigger and kinder than the one we have. That ambition did not go anywhere. We just stopped noticing it. Where the streets have And now, number 1, the song that started everything. The song that, more than any other, made rock music what it became. I think you know what is coming, but I promise you, you do not know the whole story.
Hey, Rocklore community. Before we continue, let's have a real talk for a second, bro. You know, this isn't just a channel to us. And I hope it's not just a place you come to watch a video and then forget about it. This is a community. It's a place where we get to dig up the secrets of rock and roll, share our favorite riffs, and celebrate the artists who maybe didn't get the love they deserved. Right now, only about 1% of our viewers are subscribed. We can change that together and grow this community. All you have to do is hit that subscribe button with the notification bell on. When you do, you're not just helping a channel grow, you're becoming a member of the Rocklore family. You're signaling to us and to YouTube that these stories matter, that this music is worth preserving, and that this community is a place you want to be. Subscribing is your way of making sure you're always in the loop. It means you'll be the first to know when we unearth a forgotten legend, drop a new countdown, or dive into a piece of rock history you've never heard before. So if you're a true fan of the lore, if you get that same feeling of discovery that I do, then come join us. It takes 1 second to be a part of something bigger.
Every story you see here takes hours of digging, piecing together history, and bringing forgotten moments back to life. If you'd like to support that work, you can become a channel member. It's just the cost of a cup of coffee, but it helps us keep these stories alive, and for that, we're grateful. Number 1, Chuck Berry, Johnny B. Goode.
Deep down in Louisiana, close to New Orleans, like I've been.
Everything starts here. I mean that literally. Almost everything you have heard in this countdown, the guitar-driven energy, the verse-chorus song structure built around electric guitar, the idea that a young person from nowhere could pick up an instrument and play their way out, all of it traces back, in one way or another, to Chuck Berry. And Johnny B. Goode is the most complete expression of everything Chuck Berry understood about what rock and roll could be. The opening guitar lick, those first 5 seconds, may be the most influential 5 seconds in the history of popular music. Not the most beautiful, not the most technically complex, the most influential. Every rock guitar player who ever lived has felt the pull of that intro. It sets up everything that follows the energy, the promise, the feeling that something exciting is about to happen and you had better pay attention. The song is autobiographical, or nearly so. Chuck Berry grew up near the streets he describes. The story of a young boy from the country who could play guitar like ringing a bell that was his story. His story of wanting something, of music being the way out, of talent being a ticket to a life that seemed otherwise unreachable. He wrote it in 1958, recorded it at Chess Records in Chicago with producer Phil Chess. It entered the Billboard pop charts at a time when the barriers between black artists and mainstream chart success were enormous, and it broke through anyway. Because it was undeniable. The fun fact that gives this song a dimension most people do not think about Johnny B. Goode is literally in outer space. NASA included it on the Voyager Golden Record in 1977, a collection of sounds and music sent into space on the Voyager spacecraft as a representation of human culture on Earth. If there is intelligent life somewhere in the universe and they intercept Voyager and play that record, the first piece of rock and roll they will ever hear is Chuck Berry. Carl Sagan, who oversaw the project, was asked about including rock music and reportedly said with a smile that it would not be appropriate to put anything too raucous on the record. Someone responded that teenagers would not agree. Johnny B. Goode made the cut. It is underrated in the deepest possible sense, which is that it is known without being understood. People know the name. They know the riff. They do not always know the story of a black man in 1950s America, walking into a Chicago studio and recording something so vital and so original that it would eventually be sent into space as evidence of what human beings are capable of. They do not know about the legal battles, the personal difficulties, the ways in which the music industry of that era treated Chuck Berry relative to the white artists who covered his songs and received greater commercial rewards for doing so. They do not know that the Beatles covered his songs, the Rolling Stones covered his songs, the Beach Boys built one of their biggest hits on one of his melodies, and that he received none of the credit in popular history that those artists received for music that would not have existed without him. Keith Richards, one of the greatest rock guitarists who ever lived, has said that without Chuck Berry, there would be no Rolling Stones. John Lennon said that if you wanted to give rock and roll another name, you could call it Chuck Berry. These are not compliments. They are acknowledgments of a debt that popular music history has not always repaid properly. Johnny B. Goode changed rock music because it was rock music fully formed, fully realized, carrying everything the genre would spend the next 70 years exploring, arriving in 1958 and saying, "This is what we are. This is what we can do. Now go." Everything else is a conversation that started here.